Good afternoon. Now I'm going to do a skull picture, one in either colored pencil or ink or some combination, and I guess I'm going to call it the Vanitas. We could call it Memento Mori. They're actually pretty closely related. Memento Mori in Latin means remember you must die, and historically that kind of imagery reminding you of death just involves a skull, some bones. Sometimes you'll see it in funerary art like carved into a headstone or on a sepulcher. Now, the vanitas are the vanities, things that we hold very dear in life, but which really aren't important in our death, of course, obviously. Things like money and music and dance, flowers, things of great beauty that are here and gone very, very quickly. So maybe we'll combine a little bit of the idea of the vanitas with our skull, memento mori, and let's see how that goes. Now, I do have a piece of concept paper here. The skull is on the back. I just give you an idea of where eyes, nose, and mouth are located. The crown of the head up here, the chin of the head down here. If you recall from 6th grade, we did something similar with mummy faces, and I'm going to draw on this side. Now, I've got one started right here, and I want you to exaggerate. I want you to exaggerate in order to transform. Transform means you're not just going to give me this skull back, okay? But you're going to give me something different back. So for example, here the lower jaw is gone. Here, one eye is substituted by a star substitutes for one eye. This pinwheel device over here for another. The cheeks kind of melt away here on this side, and it looks like there's kind of a coiling vine on this other side. So it's not like you have to trace the skull, and I really don't want you to trace the skull. I want you to break free of that. It's there for guidance, but just don't depend on that entirely, okay? Because I want to see what you can do with your own ideas as you impose your will on this beginning step, all right? So here I have, well, you know what? I have this thing that I happen to pick up at the commissary. It's called a buddy poppy. You normally receive one of these when you donate to the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. This poppy, believe it or not, is very rich with symbolism as it relates to Memento Mori and the Vanitas. I'll let you do some of your own research there, but I'd be curious to know if you actually know the significance of this as it relates to veterans, especially veterans who have seen action or have been fighting in foreign wars. And I'm going to take Buddy Poppy and put it right there, I decided. So I have an area for Buddy Poppy right there. And a poppy, typically, is a very delicate flower, and it doesn't really last that long. The petals are kind of paper thin, so even though this is a very simplified version of Buddy Poppy, I know my coloration right there is going to be a bright, intense red and maybe shot through with some very deep dark greens and blacks. So I already have my combination of colors picked out. Here, the nasal septum, I really elongated that. I'm just going to continue to go on with my ideas here. This is going to spiral around. That's going to grab the viewer's attention, that spiraling line. And I might very lightly draw some stars and then go over them. You notice how I sometimes use a lighter line and then a darker line on top. I, of course, don't erase the lighter line because that'd be wasting my time. Here I've kind of planned out a bird's wing or a wing. I don't know if it has to be the wing of a bird. It could be the wing of something else. What else has wings? Well, angels have wings. And of course, we think of a person who dies is sometimes becoming an angel. So you know what? In a way, maybe the wing here, suggestive of what you might become after death, is kind of a cool thing to have. Not necessarily an angel's wing, but certainly time does fly, doesn't it? And that's an expression. I guess time flies on its wings. Here is a petal or something, or maybe this is part of a smaller feather of some bird, a downy feather of some bird coming down. You know, as these drift down, it makes me think of the hands of the clock very slowly ticking. Let's see what I can do about putting a hands of a clock in here. I'm going to put one hand here. This will be the center of the clock, or the center of the clock face, I should say. And I should do this a little more decoratively. Let's see what I can do here by way of decoration. I'm going to scroll that around. And of course, both sides don't have to be the same. There's that, and that will also be very dominant and dark later on. You can tell I'm thinking in terms of not just color, but also value. The darkness of something against something lighter to really make it stand out, to really give it some contrast. Now that could be the minute hand, the one that moves quicker. I wonder what the hour hand would be. Would it be attached here? Would it be going across the face? Would it be angled up? Would it be behind the skull? You know, those are all questions which I can't really answer right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move over to another area of the drawing, continue to work in another area until inspiration strikes, and I might be able to come back here and decide, well, where's that other hand going to go? So you don't have to work an entire drawing one area at a time all at once. You can certainly jump around a little bit. I'm again inspired by these downy feathers falling down. I'm going to go ahead and put some clouds back here as if there's a distant horizon somewhere. The disk of a sun right there peaking. Is the sun rising? Is the sun setting? I don't know. Again, a measure of time as the clouds drift past, the feathers float down, the poppy lives and dies, the clock hands tick, spirit fleeing or flying away. Down here, I don't have a lower jaw. What do I have? Well, it looks like I have an elongated jaw. That means, boy, did I stretch it out. So again, as part of transformation, I'm going to have you play around with shapes and lines. I'm putting in teeth here, but the arrangement of the teeth is very unusual. Call that dentation, the way the teeth are arranged. Again, totally unexpected, but I'm kind of okay with that right now. It looks like I've scrubbed in a line here. I'm going to darken it and get something else setting. Now, it could be the same sun or it could be a rising moon. This could be dark down here. It may not be something bright. It could be in a night sky. And then instead of the moon shining, it looks like it's bleeding or something is flowing out of it. I don't know what that's going to be or not. Let's see what's going to happen over here. This is just an exaggeration of skull and cheekbones, and there's that other jaw right there. You know what I'm going to do? This is very like a formula, but you know how we as kids would draw like little birds flying in the sky? I'm going to have some birds just flying over here. Again, the passage of time, the movement of things. And you know what I'm going to do with this other hand? I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to have it fall down as if the clock is broken. And this other hand is going to come forward in space, and therefore these lines angle outwards. And then to kind of, let's see, how did we do that? That goes around like that. A little trickier because I'm doing a lot of foreshortening on this one. Foreshortening means that you take an object, you move part of it towards the viewer, that part moves towards you, the rest of it behind gets shorter. Okay, so you can see it's quite short right there. And I'm going to add, because it is so near, I'm going to add an extra edge right there to show the three-dimensionality of that. I'm going to go ahead and throw in the darkness of that and erase that little bit because I wouldn't be seeing that. And I might, maybe there's a shine on there. I think I like the position of the clock hand right there, laying across like that, as if something stopped, time stopped, something broke, the clock broke, the hand fell off, so it's no longer telling the time it once did. So a bit of a mystery why that happened when everything else is moving along in nature just like it should, whereas this one man-made object over here is falling apart and no longer working, just like the man himself, no longer working, dead, passed on. So this is a fairly good concept drawing, the way I worked it and the way I talked it out. That's worth 30 points. Now let's look at a couple of finals. This one's done in colored pencil, and you can see, there's colored pencil, there's ebony pencil in there, and that's about it. I kind of like this distant landscape. See how the teeth were replaced by a classical column from Greece or Rome? There's a planet like Jupiter that's one orbit of the eye. Here's another orbit of the eye that becomes a cone, just a simple old cone form. It looks like the skull is peeling back, like paper peels back, revealing some mysterious arrangement of colors and lines in there. A bit of a confusion, maybe representative thoughts. Okay, very disjointed. And let's take a look at this. Okay, now this one is actually my favorite. I just did this with Sharpie marker, thin and fat. Kind of stuck to the original design of the skull, but you can see an awful lot of ornament going on. A lot of fun with line work, and so I really did enjoy doing that. Maybe this is not as imaginative as some, but boy did I have fun just with the technique of and using the pen, okay? Now, you try.